So here is our processor design. We have the program counter here, which is located here, which is connected to the MAR, which is located here. Simultaneously, the program counter is also connected to a decoder that serves as the control unit for the entire program. The MAR here is further connected into the SRAM. This passes through a multiplexer, which we will come to in a moment. This serves as the address bus, which allows us to select which address of the RAM we are accessing. Then we have two PIPO registers here, PIPO A and PIPO A, PIPO B, which are located here, and we have an ALU unit. We also have two JK flip-flops and AND gates for the control unit here, and we also have a D flip-flop accompanied with a tri-state buffer that that is used in the write back stage. So let's explain the whole process. So the program counter will first send the address to the MAR. From this address, we will first pick out operand A, then we'll pick out operand B, then we fetch the ALU operation. So how we load PIPO A, PIPO B and ALU is with the help of this decoder. When the decoder is 0, we enable PIPO A to pick up the input A, operand A. When the program counter is 1, we enable PIPO B to pick up the operand value being fetched, and when the decoder is 3, the decoder is 2, the ALU functions. When the decoder is 3, we store in the JK flip-flop, and when the decoder is 4, and while we are in 3, we also read the destination address from the RAM. In address 4, we write back at the given destination that was specified in the RAM. So this serves as the indirect addressing mode for our processor. All right, let's run through this entire thing. So we see this is the address at which of the RAM that we're accessing. These are the outputs of the ALU. This is the output of the JK flip-flop, and these are the outputs of the RAM. So at instruction 0, we take up operand A, which is 3. This is stored in PIPO A. And instruction 1, we get operand B, which is 7. This is stored in PIPO B. Then at the next instruction, we get a high, low, low, high operand. This is essentially the add instruction for the ALU. So we can see that the ALU operation output of 1010, which is 10, is given out, which represents 7 plus 3. All right. Then we fetch the destination address here, which is 7. All right. Note that while the ALU output now is garbage, the actual answer, that is 10, has been stored here in this particular flip-flop. At the next stage, what we will notice is we are going to branch from this to the destination address. So now we have gone to 7. And
this happens because in select line we have a 2 cross 1 works. At this stage we enable the select line to 0 and it selects the branch address which is given from the SRAM input. So we jump to address 7 and now we write the data back.
Right, so we can see that we've written 10 here. All right, and also simultaneously the data bus has been switched over to allow for the data for the data that was stored from the flip-flop to be written into the RAM. So all right, then we go ahead and we keep incrementing the clock. Once we reach address 7 of the RAM, we can see that 10 has been written into the processor, into the RAM. All right, so
So this is direct addressing mode.
so this is indirect addressing mode instead, because we have taken the address from the RAM, and at that particular address we have put the value that is the result of the ALU operation.
Okay.
All right. So two potential extensions of this particular design. One is currently we only process one instruction set from 0 to 5. We could potentially extend this further to instruction sets 0 to 5, 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 15. And how we would do this is we would, when we take the decoder output lines, we would OR the decoder output lines of 0, 5 and 10 and then feed them to the respective peoples to allow us to process 3 instruction sets, that is 15 different instructions out of 16, so that would allow us to optimally use the RAM. Furthermore, another extension is
we can actually right now all we can do is an ALU operation in 2 operands. If we add an opcode before these and make it a 6 level instruction, we can actually decide if we have to do an ALU operation or load or store the value. So we'll get a step closer to implementing the actual RISC processor that we have working. So
Okay.
that is one potential input.
So
Okay.
just to recap, what we do is we take an operand A, we take an operand B, we perform the ALU operation, we take the destination address and we store the ALU output at that destination
How
address
you
in
take
the
the
RAM.
destination address?
So the destination address is taken in from the RAM at instruction 0 to 3. At instruction 3, it is stored in a D flip-flop with a tri-state buffer. At the next state, we are outputting this and outputting this using the select line, right? And that allows us to select that particular address in the RAM as was shown earlier, and the data also has been stored in this particular D flip-flop accompanied with the tri-state buffer. At the write back stage, that is also passed back into the RAM and stored.
Okay, good.
Thank you.